Howdy, y'all, and welcome back. War belt, battle belt, training belt, gun belt, whatever you want to call it. So I'm a big nerd when it comes to this stuff and have spent a lot of the last year, 2 years, building out different belts and trying different components. And so I really am pretty happy with my home defense war belt, battle belt, quick deploy kind of concept where you've got the squishy neoprene inner pad that is enough to just click on, and you don't need to run a belt. You don't even need belt loops to put this guy on. I keep it tight enough so that I could put it on over a pair of basketball shorts or something if the zombies start falling out of the sky, Red Dawn style or whatever. So then I set to work building out a run and gun belt, like a dedicated flat range training belt that does require an inner belt that runs through your belt loops, something that will really stay on through more running and more treacherous environments. And so I settled on the GBRS group belt as a starting point, very similar to the Bison belt if you are familiar with what those are. And then just kind of added some components that I had laying around, and so I have a whole video on how that turned out. And GBRS Group finally came out with their own mag pouches and IFAC. So ordered those up. And of course I had to change it up a little and do some weird colors. So I've got a little moss gray and a little coyote, and that clashes of course with the multicam, or goes great with it, however you want to look at it. But I have the moss gray GBRS sling, and so I wanted a little bit of that on the belt. I don't know. Anyway. Let's back this up, take it over to the table, and get a closer look. All right, we're going to try to run through this super fast here. So I'm replacing the 3x S-Tac pistol mag pouch and HSGI taco with the GBRS pieces, and replacing my high-speed gear IFAC with, again, the GBRS. I've already swapped my tourniquet over, so I had my TQ riding along in this little add-on guy from Blue Force Gear, weaved into the top of the HSGI. And one of the big things that appealed to me about the GBRS design is that they have included an elastic sleeve right on top for your tourniquet. I like these SAM XT tourniquets, but they are big. They are like considerably larger than a Cat 7 or any of the other brands out there. So I was a little concerned about it fitting, and I'm glad to report that it does fit. So yay for that. Otherwise, it's a pretty conventional IFAC kind of kit. It does have a sort of a thin, stretchy material, and I'm curious to see over time how this holds up. And I will report back if it busts out or does anything weird. But generally this is going to be on your back, so it's not like you're low crawling across it or anything. But it surprised me a little bit at how thin that is. But I get that you want it to be flexible and yet be minimalist at the same time. So I do sort of get that design. All three of these pouches have this same kind of system going on here, where you have the MOLLE webbing strap stitched right in. Got a little bit of Kydex sewn into the end tab here to help you weave it through things. This is super cool. Probably the biggest reason that I popped for these was the use of this, so that we're getting away from using a completely separate strap of some kind. Although I'm a big fan of these guys, they're, just having it built in is even better. So excited to try these out. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's fumbly and fidgety and it takes forever, and I don't think that's really why you're here. So let me get all of this set up and I will report back to you. All right, so I said I wasn't going to show you this, but after getting the pistol pouches on, I was like, that was pretty easy. So, and in case you're not familiar with how this works, so I'm running these two straps through the top side. So my magazine's going here. This is the top edge of the belt, the up. So I'm going to run these through. I'm going to loop them back through the first available slot in the laser cut sections here on the pouch. like so. Then I'm going to turn it back down like that and run them through the bottom sections. Like that. Kind of seat it all down there. And now I have these tails, and I'm just going to tuck them in like that. So that is what it looks like from the side. Easy peasy. I have also moved this over one from where I had the Kiwis, so I'm getting it a little more in front of me. That'll be a separate video. Kind of the evolution of working from carrying the old 4 o'clock concealed carry days to now carrying appendix and now working with a sidecar rig. So I want this to be more consistent with my concealed carry draw. And of note, a big advantage to this style and like the Haley strategic ones and several other pouches have gone this route of being ultra low profile. So they are definitely harder to insert magazines into. You know, that's the beauty of having a Kydex form inside is boom, they're super easy to insert. However, versus, I mean, that wasn't that hard, right? Not that big of a deal. But the big advantage to these is if you need to go prone, you can pull these mags out and go flat to the ground. Whereas if you have these guys on the front of your belt and you go prone, you're gonna have that inch and whatever gap between you and the ground. I mean, that is under you. You just feel it. So that's a big feature about these that I really, really like is how low pro they can get if you remove your magazines. And they do recommend that you store your belt without magazines in it so that you're not constantly stretching them out. All right, and so here we are. Drop the camera down a little bit so hopefully you can see this whole thing, but there we are. Got it nice and centered on my jeans. I recommend wearing jeans when setting up a belt like this because it gives you nice gig lines. So I'm using the inside of the buckle right here and the seam, front seam of my zipper pocket there as a gig line to line this up, and then the seam down my butt crack to line up the IFAS. So little pro tip there. So we've got Glock 19 mags. Here's an M&P, a little bit of an extendo kind of vibe, so it's a 17 round mag, 15 round mag. Also maybe like a multi-tool. Will drop right in there, stays nice and snug. That's not going to go anywhere. You can also run multiple pistol mags in the AR pouch should you need to. So now you could set yourself up for like a training class or something with 4 pistol mags, feed the front pouches from the back pouch, that whole kind of a deal. So these are quickly growing on me. Obviously, you haven't done any training or anything like that with them yet, but just the feel of them right away is much more svelte and streamlined than the S-Tac Kiwis or any of the Kydex insert style pouches that I've tried in the past. So I'm really liking that. And again, here's what I was talking about. If I need to go prone now, I've got a nice flat front and I'm not doing this whole deal when I'm down in the prone. So that's super cool. As I mentioned earlier, I did ooch this kind of one whole notch forward. So I come from the world of, carrying at 4 o'clock for concealed carry. So I used to carry an extra mag pouch back here, pistol back here. Then when I set up my first war belt, I just that was where I was used to drawing pistol mags from. So I started with my pistol mag kind of back over here and then the AR mag back behind that. And then kind of started, that last setup I had the 3 mag pistol pouch. So it ooched that forward a little more. Now I'm really trying to make myself carry from here. Where that gets a little funky, obviously, is if you're run dry, I'm going to turn, and now I've got to find my bag. Or you can do the drop it straight down, then it's pretty easy. So sorting these things out, these are the growing pains of changing your stuff. But so far, really liking all of this, and I will report back if any of this stuff just craps out on me, doesn't hold up. I've already gotten heard one pretty nightmare story about the GBRS second best sling out in the field with some actual Marines putting it to use. Your mileage may vary. They're Marines, who knows what they did, but I ran my first weekend class with it and loved it. So there you go. So that's all I got for today. Until next time, be easy, y'all.